So the race for 17th, it might not sound glamorous, but the teams involved, they are desperate to get that 17th spot. Norwich, Newcastle, Sunderland are in the running for it. It looked like it might kind of turn into one where the last couple of games didn't matter down the bottom, but it does. We've got 31 points for Sunderland, 30 points for Newcastle, 31 points for Norwich. And they're all scrapping for their lives. Newcastle looked like they were drifting away a little bit, but they've turned it around a little bit. It's kind of worked with Benítez. What's the Benítez effect?
I think, look, he's a great manager at the end of the day, isn't he? He's good at what he does. For some reason, he seems to like clubs with bad ownership. He's followed clubs with bad ownership his entire career.
That's right,
Since Liverpool, he's gone to Inter Milan, he's gone to Real Madrid, and he's gone to Newcastle.
Well, Chelsea when it was, I mean, not bad, but
so
tumultuous.
He's some kind of sadomasochist for bad ownership, essentially, isn't he? It's bad, but he's a good manager and he wins football games. He knows how to win them. I think the first couple of results where he was at Newcastle, you know, he got a draw with Sunderland, 1-1, and they needed that. But the team wasn't playing like a Benítez side. Whereas what I saw when they drew with us at the weekend, they obviously come back from 2-0 down. Now, yes, we were the agents of our own demise to a certain extent, but the fact that he kept going with the same tactics and he got back into the game says that he trusts his tactics and the players trust him as well.
So what are those tactics?
Defensive football. Try not to concede goals. I mean, Newcastle is struggling to score goals at the moment, but, you know, if there was one manager who I had to pick to win one game of football, out of all the Liverpool managers that I've ever seen, Benítez would be that manager in a one-off game of football. And I think, you know, with 3 games to go, he'll treat them all slightly differently and he'll come up with a game plan for each of those.
But ultimately, he is probably going to stay with that sort of defensive nature. Newcastle kind of, everyone's going, oh, they've got good players, Oh, Wijnaldum's good, oh, Mitrovic is good, they've got goals. But as you were saying, that was the problem. The defence was so poor. But Benítez has done what he does best and changed that a bit, hasn't he?
Defence was poor, and also with Benítez, what he gives is belief. You know, you've got a manager there that...
Does he though?
Yeah, I think he does. You know what I mean?
In what sense? Because he's not that... He doesn't seem that passionate.
Listen to the Newcastle fans, right? They're singing his name all throughout the game, right? They believe in him. Those players there, they believe in him. They can't come off at half-time or full-time and not put it in because the manager has got that stature.
Right. So they believe in the quality of him.
Yeah. He instills belief in the team, and that's why they're improving. I mean, 2-0 down under McLaren, they would no way have come back against Liverpool.
Well, 2-0 down against Liverpool as well.
Benítez, it's belief.
That's it. I mean, you just have to look at what he's done in his career. At half-time against Newcastle, there's not one player in that dressing room. Sorry, at half-time against us, there's not one player in that dressing room who looks at Benítez and doesn't think about Istanbul. He doesn't even have to say it. They just know that his team can come from behind. You know, look what he's won with Chelsea. He won the Europa League with Chelsea, didn't he? He's won La Liga with Valencia and broken the monopoly there between Real Madrid and Barcelona. He's a born winner, and those players know that.
Let's move on to Norwich, and we've got Jack from TalkNorwichCity who's given us a little summarisation of their chances and what they need to do to change it and stay up.
So, with 4 games left, we have got a lot of work to do. It was all in our hands before Sunderland, but we blew that opportunity once again. Another opportunity blown. What a surprise. But we have got players in this squad who can make a difference. I'm looking at Stephen Naismith, who hasn't yet delivered. I'm looking at Nathan Redmond, who's a class player. Unfortunately, Tim Close is out for the season, who was our best player by far, and that's a real shame. And Diamersian Makani has only scored 5 goals this season, but is a Congolese international with Champions League experience. So, we've got the players there. We need to start getting it down the wings, getting it in the box, and start playing football that is effective, because we've been concentrating too much on playing attractive football this season. At the moment, I don't care what football we play. I just want us to win games, battle hard in the midfield, get it out to our wingers, get it in the box, and score some goals. That way, Norwich City might have a chance of surviving this season.
So Jack there from TalkNorwichCity, and if you want to sort of see how Norwich are going on and see how Norwich fans are dealing with it, then go check out his YouTube channel, TalkNorwichCity. He's talking about effective football again, which, I mean, we'll get to Sunderland in a second, but that's what Newcastle have done with Benítez. They've been a lot more effective, a lot stronger. From someone who has witnessed that 5-4 against Norwich, he's right in saying that the concentration on playing attacking football kind of needs to go to the side now, right?
Yeah, this is where the experience of the manager might come in, isn't it? Because you look at the other 2 sides and you've got Big Sam and you've got Rafa Benítez, whereas Norwich's manager doesn't have that wealth of experience to draw upon. Now, I think he'll be stupid if he continues in the way that he's been playing. It's about results at this part of the season now, isn't it? And, you know, I think Jack's spot on there. You need to start just getting the ball in. He mentioned McCartney's got 5 goals. Redman's got 5 goals as well. They're the team with the lowest top scorer in the Premier League. They're their 2 top scorers, only 5 goals. They need to get more goals.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Redmond didn't start the last game, came on and made quite an impact, and they were saying that he should start. But if you're trying to be effective, you're going to struggle to get all 3 of them in the team, aren't you? Redmond, Naismith and McCartney. Which out of those 3 would you maybe drop if you had to?
Mbakani looks like a handful when I've seen him play, so I'd have him in. And I'd always have Redmond in there. I think he's like one of the few quality players that they've got in their team. So for me, it's got to be those 2. Naismith you can bring off the bench, but I mean, they got us this week, they got Arsenal this week. That's going to be a very hard game for them because Arsenal as well got a lot to play for. You know, it's not like a dead season for us now. Our battle for 4th place continues, but you know it's very important for
another year.
For another year, you know, let's not get into us for the minute. But it's going to be a game in which Arsenal players know they have to win that game.
Yeah.
Right. So they're going to be going for a win, and I don't think Norwich can just come to that game and just sit back and try to, pull off a draw. You know what I mean? Because that's going to be no good for them either. They got must-win games. I remember when we played Norwich earlier on in the season, and for about the first half an hour, we should really have been out of sight in that game. I thought Norwich were really poor. Although what I would say about Norwich is that they rallied and they showed a lot of fighting spirit. I was really impressed with the fighting spirit of Norwich. But is their defence going to be good enough to get them through? You know, how many times this season have they had leads?
And there's a lot of parallels between Norwich going away to Arsenal this weekend, a game against a big club where you're probably not going to have a lot of the ball, but you need to get a win out of the game, and what Sunderland did at the weekend again against Arsenal. Moving on to Sunderland, were you impressed by them at the weekend? And having Allardyce, you talk about the experience of Alex Neil. Allardyce has that experience, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you could see it again. The first thing that you notice straight away with Sunderland is that they were fighting for their lives. I mean, they closed the ball down. The energy of Sunderland.
It's funny how Catamol just like becomes a different player in like the last 10 games of the season. He needs to be like on the edge to do anything.
To be fair, it wasn't just Catamol though. It was the whole team. They were really fighting. They played some decent stuff. You know, so. I think out of all 3 of those teams, you know, we've played all 3. Sunderland probably, you know, their performance last week was probably the best out of those 3 that are down there. Like you said, they've got a manager there that's used to fighting, used to getting out of those situations, and I think, you know, at home, Sunderland are going to be very difficult to beat at their place. Normally they're a fairly difficult team to beat there, but I think at the moment the crowd are right behind them. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for teams going there.
And the fixtures play a huge part in this as well. So we're going to put our money where our mouth is now. Sunderland, the fixtures will be on your screen now, but Sunderland have got 4 games left. Norwich have got 4 games left. We've had a look at them. Sunderland, Stoke, Chelsea, Everton, Watford, Newcastle have got Palace, Villa and Spurs, and Norwich have got Arsenal, Man United, Watford, Everton. Who's going to stay up, Chris?
Oh, come on. Can you go to Robbie first?
Robbie, who's going to stay up? Or do you want me to go first?
Well, look, you know what? I think Sunderland have got, out of those, they got the easier fixtures. They got a goal scoring Jermaine Defoe, you know, Barini. I see more, you know, they got goals in them, and they looked a decent team to me last week. And I think Sunderland are going to stay up. I think, unfortunately, Newcastle just might drop. And I think Norwich, unfortunately, is going to drop as well, because Norwich's fixtures are really difficult. And as I said, it's not like they can really afford to even draw those. You've got to win all those games. They haven't done... I mean, we've seen with Leicester, so you never say never. Even last season with Leicester, with their relegation battle, you could never say never. But I can't see Norwich getting out of it. And I think Newcastle maybe should have bought Benítez in a little bit earlier, and then they would have got out of it. So I won't go Sunderland.
Sunderland. Chris?
I see Norwich as the one that will finish lowest. I think they're only going to get 4 points from their remaining 4 games. I think Sunderland take 7 from their 12 points, which keeps them up.
What's
And
the
I think they beat Stoke, who are in terrible form, conceded 4 in each of the last 3 games.
Can't defend at the moment.
Yeah, I see them losing to Chelsea, maybe snatching a draw at Everton.
Chelsea, where they got Chelsea at home now?
At home,
At
yeah.
home,
I
yeah.
think they could beat Chelsea.
They could, but then I think they beat Watford, so I think
They
get
will
7.
win, lose or draw of it, yeah.
And then finally,
I didn't say lose.
I think Newcastle get 6 points, and it's not enough. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
they've only got 3 games to go. So
Down to me, I think Newcastle will finish bottom of the pile, actually. I've got a funny feeling Norwich are going to beat Man United. I don't know why, at home.
They're beating them already.
There you
They're
go.
beating them already this
I'd like to
season.
see it. I'd like to see it again.
And Sunderland,
You're praying for that,
Allardyce.
though, aren't you? No.
Yeah.
Sunderland, Allardyce, I've called it from the start. I've said that they're going to stay up, so I'm going to stick with them. But it's going to be fantastic. It's going to go right to the wire. Let's know who you think is going to stay up and who's going to finish bottom out of those 3. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe to the Bull Street channel by clicking on Robbie's face.
Why always my face?